It was billed as a major television moment. Sylvester Stallone, the legendary Hollywood icon behind Rocky and Rambo, was scheduled for a live appearance on Good Morning America to promote his new Paramount Plus crime series, King of Newark. Fans of the actor, the network, and morning television tuned in with high expectations. No one, however, not even the producers, could have predicted the storm that would unfold on live TV. Stallone arrived at the studio in Manhattan's Times Square early in the morning, calm but alert. Dressed in a sleek black suit and signature sunglasses, he moved through the backstage corridors like a man used to attention. The staff greeted him warmly. His demeanor was professional, cordial, but there was a noticeable edge to his tone, a tightness in his smile. Something, it seemed, was simmering beneath the surface. George Stephanopoulos, co-hunker of GMA and former White House communications director, was prepped with talking points. The initial plan was to discuss Stallone's new show, his take on the aging anti-hero trope and the state of storytelling in today's Hollywood, but George, known for digging deeper, had also included a few tougher questions, particularly about Stallone's historical remarks on politics, Hollywood elitism, and the role of the media. As the live segment began, everything seemed to run smoothly. George greeted Stallone with a grin. "It's an honor to have you back with us," he said. "Let's talk about King of Newark. You're playing a mob enforcer trying to fix the past. What drew you to that role?" Stallone answered confidently. "I've always been fascinated by men who carry the weight of their choices, guys who did terrible things but wake up one day wanting to be better, not just for themselves, but for their families. It's very real. It's raw." The audience was engaged. There were laughs when Stallone talked about doing his own stunts at age 78, and some nostalgia when George mentioned the enduring impact of Rocky then. George subtly pivoted. "You've spoken out in the past quite passionately about Hollywood, hypocrisy, and recently, a clip from the 90s resurfaced where you criticized the media for being, in your words, performative and selective. In today's climate, where celebrity voices carry so much influence, do you still stand by those words?" Stallone's body language shifted immediately. He leaned back, his smile fading. The tension in the studio was almost palpable. "I came here to talk about a show, George," he said, voice low but firm. "Not to relitigate quotes from 3 decades ago." George remained calm, unfazed. "Absolutely. But given how much the landscape has changed, how involved many public figures are in shaping discourse, it's a fair question. Do you think entertainers should stay in their lane?" The words landed hard. "Stay in their lane," Stallone repeated, narrowing his eyes. "Let me tell you something. When you've lived through the ups and downs I have, when you've seen how people get chewed up and spit out by this town, you earn the right to say whatever the hell you want." The air in the studio grew thick. The production team was already sensing trouble. George pushed on cautiously. "So, to be clear, you don't feel any responsibility for how your words might influence people?" And that's when Stallone snapped. "No, George. What I feel is tired of being told. I'm responsible for the reactions of people who don't even take time to understand the context. You want to talk about accountability? Let's talk about the media cherry-picking words, spinning narratives, and calling it journalism." George attempted to clarify. "That's not what we're doing here, You're doing it right. Now?" Stallone interrupted sharply. "This was supposed to be about storytelling, about art. Instead, I'm sitting here getting cross-examined by a guy who hides behind polite words but plays the same game he claims to critique. But even the visuals couldn't distract from what was unfolding live." "Look," Stallone said, shifting in his chair. "I've made mistakes. I've said dumb things. Who hasn't? But don't pretend you're holding me to some noble standard when this whole setup feels like bait." The producers made a decision. Cut to commercial. The camera zoomed out. The segment ended abruptly, and the transition music played with unnatural cheer. When the show returned, Stallone was gone. His chair sat vacant as George, with a measured expression, told viewers the interview had been cut short due to unforeseen circumstances, loud and impossible to ignore. By the time Sylvester Stallone's empty chair was shown live on air following the commercial break, social media had already exploded. Hashtags like #Stallone storms out, #GMA clash, and hashtag George vs. Rocky were trending across X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Fan accounts began reposting off-camera footage that crew members or audience guests had discreetly filmed during the commercial break. Footage that showed Stallone angrily pulling off his mic pack and tossing it on the table before walking off set. Asterisk backstage. The mood was chaos. Producers were frantically trying to salvage the segment, debating whether to address what happened directly or let it slide with a vague statement. George Stephanopoulos, though composed on camera, was noticeably agitated as he returned to his dressing room. He reportedly told staff, "I didn't attack him, I asked one question. He turned it into a war." Asterisk sources backstage say that Stallone, still visibly fuming, refused all attempts to calm him down. "I knew it," he muttered repeatedly. "They brought me here just to stir controversy. Same old trap." Before leaving the studio, he made one final remark that was overheard by multiple staff members. "This is why I don't do these shows anymore." Asterisk, by midday, ABC News released a short statement. Asterisk, today's live interview with Mr. Sylvester Stallone ended earlier than planned due to a disagreement regarding the line of questioning. "We respect all of our guests and remain committed to open, respectful conversations." He posted a 2-minute video on his official Instagram and X accounts, filmed in his home gym with iron weights and a punching bag in the background. Stallone looked calm but clearly still fired up. Asterisk, "I've got no problem answering tough questions," he began. "What I do have a problem with is when I'm invited somewhere, under the impression that it's about celebrating the work hand, it turns into an ambush disguised as journalism. If you want a debate, just say that. Don't smile to my face and then flip the script live." Asterisk, the post garnered over 5 million views in just 6 hours. The comment sections were a war zone. Supporters flooded in with messages like, "You told them straight, Sly," and "Respect to Stallone for not playing the Hollywood game." Others, however, sided with George, calling Stallone sensitive and out of touch, accusing him of reacting disproportionately to a legitimate question. Asterisk, political pundits soon entered the fray. Conservative commentators praised Stallone's rejection of what they called mainstream media traps, while progressive outlets questioned whether his reaction revealed a deeper discomfort with accountability. Think pieces popped up across major news platforms by the end of the day. Asterisk, when Hollywood legends clash with the modern media machine. Asterisk, did George go too far, or did Stallone overreact? And asterisk, how one question exposed a generational divide in celebrity culture. The network's legal and PR teams were reviewing Stallone's contract and weighing their options. While he hadn't violated any legal terms, his walkout had disrupted a live national broadcast and sparked a media frenzy that threatened to overshadow the week's programming schedule. Still, many executives were reluctant to escalate the matter. After all, controversy drove ratings. Asterisk, as for Stallone's new show, King of Newark, the irony was hard to miss. The series, which focused on a hardened man trying to leave his violent past behind, had suddenly gained an audience far beyond its expected demographic. Google searches for the title spiked 400%, and streaming platforms began reporting a surge in early watchlist additions. Asterisk, Paramount Plus issued a carefully worded statement of support. Asterisk, we fully stand behind Sylvester Stallone and the incredible work he has done on King of Newark. We believe in the power of storytelling and the freedom of artists to express themselves without interruption or manipulation. Asterisk, by the week's end, GMA's ratings had seen a noticeable uptick as curious viewers tuned in to see if the show would address the clash. George, though not one to dwell on controversy, briefly acknowledged it on Friday's broadcast. Asterisk, live television is unpredictable. Sometimes things happen. We move forward with respect for all voices. Asterisk, but Sylvester Stallone wasn't done just yet. In a follow-up podcast appearance a few days later, he gave his final thoughts. Asterisk, you either come clean about what kind of show you're running, or you don't invite people like me on. I've been in too many fights, real ones and fake ones too. Not know when I'm being cornered? Asterisk, the clash between the Hollywood icon and the polished morning anchor became more than just a viral moment. It became a symbol of a broader cultural clash. Authenticity versus image. Old school grit versus modern media tact. Asterisk.